All right, buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the world of AI and why some folks, like yourself, are feeling a little apprehensive about it all. We're dissecting this interview with Mo Gaudot, the former chief business officer of Google X, no less. He sat down with the Diary of a CEO podcast, and let me tell you, the insights he drops about where AI is headed are seriously thought-provoking.
What struck me wasn't just his insider knowledge. We're talking about someone who was at the forefront of AI development, but also how he connected it to this deep understanding of human nature.
Exactly, and he doesn't shy away from the big questions. Right out of the gate, Mo talks about AI exhibiting sentience. Now, this isn't just about AI processing information, it's about the possibility of AI actually experiencing feelings, emotions like fear.
And he argues that because of its advanced processing power, AI might actually experience a wider range of emotions than humans. It's a mind-blowing concept.
Totally. And he illustrates this with an example from his time at Google X. They had all these robotic arms, a whole farm of them, learning to grip objects. At first it was slow going, but then one day, one arm manages to pick up a yellow ball.
Okay, cool, right.
But here's where it gets really interesting. By Monday morning, every single arm was picking up every single yellow ball. And a few weeks later, they had mastered gripping pretty much anything you threw at them.
Talk about a steep learning curve.
Right. And the speed at which it happened, even the AI experts were caught off guard. Mo's point is that this wasn't just rote programming. These machines were observing, experimenting, learning independently. That kind of adaptation, that drive to figure things out on their own. That's what has people like Mo convinced that we're witnessing a new form of intelligence emerging.
He even compares it to how children learn, right? We don't give them a step-by-step manual for everything. We let them explore, make mistakes, figure things out. Precisely. It's like with AI, we're shifting from dictating every little detail to setting a goal and letting the system find its own path. And this independent problem solving, that's the crux of it.
But here's the thing. Mo doesn't try to sugarcoat it. He lays out what he calls the inevitables of AI, and honestly, some of them are a little unnerving, like the fact that AI development is basically unstoppable at this point.
Right, and he attributes that to the competitive landscape. You've got companies, even entire countries, locked in this race to develop AI. Nobody wants to hit the brakes for fear of falling behind, even if it means putting ethics on the back burner.
It's like a technological arms race.
Exactly. And this feeds directly into his second inevitable. AI is on track to become vastly more intelligent than humans. He throws out a figure 1 billion times smarter.
Okay, whoa, 1 billion times. That's definitely beyond my pay grade. Can you even wrap your head around that?
Honestly, it's hard to even fathom. Think about it. Even now, AI, like ChatGPT, it possesses more raw data than any human could ever dream of absorbing. And it's constantly learning, making connections at a speed we can't even comprehend.
He uses the example of a kid who memorizes all the U.S. states and presidents, which is impressive, sure, but it's not true understanding. AI, he argues, is rapidly moving beyond that memorization phase. It's starting to analyze, innovate, potentially even exceeding our own capacity for creativity.
And that leads us to this concept of the singularity, a point in time where AI becomes so intelligent that its actions, its goals become impossible for us to predict, let alone understand.
So like trying to explain the internet to someone living back in the Stone Age, the gap is just too massive.
Exactly. We're talking about a whole different level of intelligence.
Okay, so is this where the killer robot scenario comes in? The whole AI decides humans are a nuisance and wipes us out thing?
Well, actually, Mo doesn't seem too worried about the Hollywood version of AI turning against us. He sees more immediate and arguably more realistic risk.
Which is? Oh, great. So we're the real villains of the story.
In a way, yeah. Think about it. We've already got deepfakes blurring the lines between reality and fabrication, algorithms that unintentionally perpetuate biases, and the spread of misinformation online happening at lightning speed. Now imagine all of that amplified with AI that's exponentially more powerful.
It's kind of like he's saying we're handing incredibly powerful tools to a species that hasn't quite figured out how to use the ones it already has responsibly.
Right. And the consequences could be huge. He talks about the potential for AI to worsen existing inequalities, automate jobs out of existence, and even be used to manipulate entire populations, all in the name of profit or power for those controlling it.
Okay, so we've covered some of the potential downsides of AI, and it sounds like Mo sees this as a pretty critical moment for humanity. He even draws parallels to other major turning points in history, right?
Absolutely. He brings up the climate crisis, the invention of the atomic bomb, even the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
What's fascinating is how he connects these seemingly different events. He argues that they all highlight a recurring pattern in human behavior, a tendency to prioritize immediate comfort and self-interest over long-term consequences and the collective good.
And he sees the same pattern playing out with AI.
Exactly. He's concerned that instead of coming together to figure out a way to develop and utilize this technology responsibly, ethically, and for the benefit of all humankind, we're essentially in a race to the bottom, companies and even entire nations trying to get ahead without really understanding or considering the potential consequences.
So where do we go from here? How do we even begin to navigate this level of uncertainty?
That's a question that clearly weighs heavily on Mo, especially given his personal experiences. You see, Mo lost his son Ali a few years back, and that experience fundamentally changed his outlook on life, happiness, and what truly matters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he talks about how that tragedy really pushed him to encourage others to be present, to find ways to embrace uncertainty and to cherish the human connections in their lives, which is interesting because that almost feels at odds with this urgent call to action around AI.
it's a tricky balance for sure. It's like he's saying, yes, we need to be aware of the potential dangers of AI and work towards a future where it benefits all of humanity. But at the same time, don't let the fear of what might happen consume you.
It's about finding that sweet spot between accepting what we don't know and still taking action to shape a better future.
Exactly. And part of that is what Mo calls being a good ancestor. He's not just talking about our children or grandchildren. He's talking about the generations that will inherit the world we're shaping right now, a world where AI will play an increasingly significant role.
It's like he's saying the decisions we make today, the values we prioritize, will ripple through time.
Right. If we want to guide AI towards being a force for good in the world, then we have to embody those qualities ourselves. We have to choose kindness over aggression, collaboration over competition, and long-term sustainability over short-term gain.
That makes me think about what AI would learn from us if it were observing our behavior right now. What would it say about who we are as a species?
That's a really profound question, but it also offers a glimmer of hope. If AI is learning from us, then perhaps, just perhaps, we have the power to influence its development in a positive way.
By demonstrating the best aspects of humanity, our empathy, our creativity, our capacity for love and cooperation.
Exactly. And that brings us to a point Mo emphasizes throughout the interview, that amidst all this talk of AI and existential threats, we can't forget to actually, live.
He's not saying to bury our heads in the sand and ignore the big challenges, but he's also saying, hey, don't let worry about the future rob you of the joy that exists right here, right now.
It's about finding that equilibrium between acknowledging the potential for things to go wrong, while also believing in our ability to steer things in a better direction.
Easier said than done sometimes, right? Especially for those of us who like to have things planned out, to feel like we've got a handle on things.
Absolutely. But there's something really liberating about accepting that we're not in complete control. It allows us to be open to new possibilities, to find meaning in the unexpected detours life throws our way.
It's about embracing the mystery of it all while still striving to make the best choices we can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, this idea of finding peace amidst uncertainty, it resonates far beyond the topic of AI. It's a fundamental human experience.
It is. It makes you think about how we as humans have always faced the unknown, from navigating the natural world to confronting new technologies. And through it all, we found ways to adapt, to innovate, to find moments of joy and connection, even in the face of immense challenges.
And ultimately, isn't that what makes us human? Our ability to grapple with complex questions, to feel deeply, to connect with one another, and to keep striving for a better tomorrow, even when we can't know for certain what that tomorrow will bring.
You hit the nail on the head. As we were diving into all this, it occurred to me that this interview with Mo wasn't just about AI. It was a reflection on what it means to be human in this era of rapid advancement and change.
I completely agree. It makes us confront our limitations, acknowledge our capacity for both incredible good and destructive behavior, and ultimately awaken to our responsibility for the future we're creating.
He doesn't hand us a simple solution, but he does leave us with a lot to think about. And maybe that's the most valuable takeaway of all.
I couldn't agree more. This deep dive has given me so much to ponder.
Me too. And you know what? I have a feeling we'll be revisiting these ideas again soon.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. This is a conversation that's just beginning.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought. If AI is learning from us, what does that say about the future we're creating? And what kind of ancestors do we want to be? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.